Today we'll be making simple rod pocket curtains, but with a twist. We'll be making these with a blackout liner. Hello, I'm Chelsea. Welcome back to Sailrite Workbench. These curtains are pretty simple and easy to make while still looking great. This style has so many ways to customize them to your taste. Plus, with the blackout lining, there will be no pesky beams of light sneaking in to ruin that nap time. For this project, you will first need to measure the width and the length of your window and the widest part of your curtain rod. You can make your window length as long or as short as you want it. Our window is going to be 45 inches wide and our length will be 52 inches long. The general formula is your desired length plus 12 inches and your desired width plus 4 inches per panel. But we are choosing not to have a header, which is the extra fabric above the pocket seam. So I will only be using my length plus 9 inches. There is also a scrunch factor, which is how much gathered material you prefer on your curtain. The basic rule is 1.5 times width, or if you prefer more scrunch, you can do 2 times width. For the liner, we will be using the same measurements except length plus 6 inches and width plus 2 inches per panel. The window is 52 inches in length and 45 inches in width. We will be making 2 panels. First, choose your fabric. Heavier fabrics are better for this project because they hang nicely, they don't wrinkle the way lightweight fabrics do, and they help insulate your windows, lowering your heating and cooling costs. We chose outdoor Constantine navy upholstery fabric cut to 75.5 by 66 inches. Choose the blackout material next. We suggest choosing a color close to the curtain fabric. We chose blackout white drapery lining fabric cut to 75.5 by 63 inches. Here are all the tools we used. You can find them in the description below. And today we will be sewing with the Sailrite Ultrafeed LSC. We will start with our fabric. Fold the fabric in half so the right sides are together. Find the grain line. This is super important if you have a pattern fabric especially, to make sure that the fabric or all the patterns are going the same way. Pin in the center and along the edges so the fabric doesn't shift while you cut. Next, measure your length top to bottom for one panel. Measure from the center fold to the opposite ends of the fabric and mark your desired measurement with chalk. Do not use a chalk color that you can't see, and make sure you mark lightly. Repeat until you have enough marks that you can connect them. Do the same with the other sides of the fabric before marking. Cut along the marks to get rid of any excess material. This doesn't need to be perfect, but needs to be close. When you finish cutting, you will have 2 panels. Remove the pins. Put both the fabric panels off to the side. Repeat the steps with the blackout liner, but use clips, not pins. Pins will leave holes in the blackout material. You will end up with 2 blackout liner panels. Put the liner panels to the side. Grab one fabric panel and lay it wrong side up. Next, grab one of the blackout panels. Place it in the middle of the fabric, right side up. We are going to pin here because the clips won't reach. Don't worry, once sewn, this won't be visible. We will start on the sides. Choose a side. Use basting tape along the edges of your side. Remove the paper off the tape. Fold fabric 1 inch inward. This step does not have to be exact. Press to hold the tape in place. Fold the same side inward again at 1 inch. Clip as you go. The liner should start being folded into the fabric on this last step. Repeat the same steps on the opposite side. Once both sides have been clipped, you are ready to sew. Sew both sides using the 3/4 inch seam allowance guideline on your sewing machine. Don't forget to backstitch at the start and the finish of the seam and clip any extra threads. If your sewing machine does not have a seam allowance mark, a sewing guide tool is very useful to help keep your seams straight. Place your project back onto the table with the liner up. Next, we will work on the bottom. Fold the material roughly inward 1/2 inch and clip. Next, we will work on the top. Fold inward 3 inches and clip in just a few spots and sides. Fold another 3 inches inward, making sure that the liner is now folded in with the fabric. Clip and check your measurements. Start sewing the bottom seam at 1/2 inch seam allowance line on your machine. After sewing the bottom, place the Deluxe Magnetic Sewing Guide with a 3 inch seam allowance for the top. You will top stitch 1/4 inch or less on the bottom side of the pocket. Place the panel back onto the table the same way as before with the liner side up. Fold the bottom inward 2.5 inches. Make sure that the liner is getting folded in as well. There are 2 choices for this next step. You can hand sew, which leaves no stitch on the fabric's right side, or you can use a sewing machine, but there will be a stitch on that right side. If you'd like to hand sew, use a whip stitch. This will involve using a curved or straight needle. Cut about 12 inches to 24 inches of thread. Run the thread through the needle so the needle lands in the middle. Knot the threads together at the ends. Then sew through the top of the fabric in the black outliner. When you're out of enough thread to work with, make a knot and cut it. Repeat the process until the bottom is sewn all the way across. If you'd like to use a sewing machine, use the 1/2 inch seam allowance line and sew across the bottom. If you are making a second panel, repeat all the steps with the other fabric panel and black outliner. Congratulations on your finished project. Go hang them up and be proud. What a great new addition to your space. You can find any of the tools or materials we used below. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. See you next time.